2024, it's time for 2020 more of your favorite podcast, The Pod People. We're back, fresh-faced and baby smooth. Matisse, Ben, and Cleve here to dribble our predictions for 2024 right into your waiting ear holes.
Goo goo gaga, get ready. We're here. And we're smooth.
That's right. This is our 2024 predictions episode, part 1. If you didn't catch at the end of last week's episode, we're doing things a little differently this year. We're limiting this episode to releases from the first half of 2024, and we'll do the second round of predictions after our mid-year catch-up. That makes it a little easier to predict movies that we know are actually for sure going to come out this year.
Yeah, it's hard to blindly shoot into the wind.
Yeah. And it allows us to have a little bit more focus in this first episode, too, without quite so many movies to talk about. But without further ado, let's get into it.
Yeah, so as we mentioned last episode, we put all of these up to a Patreon vote on which ones we cover and which ones we didn't.
And should you care to vote next time in 6 months, join our Patreon.
Yeah,
That's right.
Yes, good plug.
Get the plug in. Yeah, exactly.
We originally had 15 listed, and we whittled it down to 11. Maybe all of these will come out. Maybe they won't.
Maybe.
We'll see. But the first movie actually coming out next week, right on January 5th. So I guess it would be out this week that this comes out.
This week that this episode comes out.
Quick, hurry.
It's out. It's out right now.
Yeah.
Probably not yet.
We're talking about Night Swim. This is a movie about a woman swimming in her pool at night is terrorized by an evil spirit. It's based on a 4-minute short film. We've been seeing a few trailers for this. I feel like the premise is inherently kind of silly.
I gotta say, I didn't know until right now that it was based on a 4-minute short. To me, that premise sounds like it should have stayed a 4-minute short. Hopefully I'm wrong.
We'll see.
We shall see. Yeah, well,
Like 2 hours out of that, I don't know.
It's produced by Atomic Monster, which is James Wan's production company, and also Blumhouse. So it's co-production. I don't recognize the director's name.
Bryce McGuire did the original short. He's also...
So they're doing a Lights Out, basically.
Yeah, he also wrote... there's an
Mama.
upcoming movie that I didn't include called Baghead coming out that he wrote. Coming out in February. He also wrote another one later on our list. I can't remember which one. So I guess he's just writing a ton of stuff lately. But yeah, this movie stars Wyatt Russell, Carrie Condon, Amelie Hofery. Wyatt Russell is probably the most known name there. He's kind of a character actor where you might not recognize his name, but you recognize his face.
Isn't Carrie Condon? She was just in The Banshees of Inisherin last year, wasn't she?
Oh,
she hasn't seen
her.
She's
Loved that movie.
Colin Farrell's sister.
I liked that much.
Yeah, she's good in that.
Yeah.
The trailers look fine to me. This is the kind of movie that I would typically be more cynical about, but I don't know. In the last couple of years, there's been a pretty good run of like mid-budget, kind of high concept B horror movies that have been surprisingly entertaining. Smile, The Boogeyman, Mithrigan, stuff like that. This is in the Mithrigan slot from last year, so
yeah. And I mean, it's inherently a silly premise, like a haunted pool.
Right.
Like, just drain the pool. I hope they have a pool boy that gets killed as he attempts to drain the pool.
I mean, I think a pool boy kill is almost guaranteed in a movie like this. I mean, the trailer is in the classic style where they just show like a truncated version of one of the scenes in the movie where like the teenage daughter and her boyfriend or something are playing Marco Polo in the pool. And like, yeah, it looks a little trite, but like I like the part where she like swims underwater and opens her eyes and she's just in like a black void, like the pool is gone.
It's kind of cool.
Like that, yeah, that
pool.
that triggers, you know, the thalassophobic vibes a little bit, you know, a la stuff like Underwater. So I don't know. We'll see. I'm not totally cynical about this movie.
I'm going in jaded as hell. I think it looks lame. I hope I'm wrong. I want to be wrong. I wish the movie the best, but I doubt it's going to be that. I don't think every movie can be Mithrigan.
I mean, it certainly can't. And the fact that it's based on a short film made by the director of that short film, you know, the legacy of those horror movies, stuff like Mama and Lights Out. Like, Lights Out is okay.
Mama is okay.
So, you know, I don't expect this to be, like, offensively bad. I'm hoping for a pleasant surprise, but...
I will say, I've been seeing a second trailer, and it seems much more silly.
Okay.
Than the first one.
Okay. All right. I can get down with that. Well, shall we do our predictions?
Yeah, so first let's predict opening weekend box office. I think this movie is going to make $14 million at the box office.
I said 18. I think that it's going to be a good first horror movie of the year to get everybody out to the theaters right after the holidays. So I think it'll do modestly well. Opening weekend.
I looked at Blumhouse flops.
Oh, you looked at flops. Okay.
to gauge mine, and I looked at Firestarter, which had John Carpenter and Stephen King's name behind it, and it did, I think, 3.5 million, if I'm remembering correctly. So this doesn't have that, so I knocked it back a little bit more and I did 2 million. That's okay. That's my expectation.
One thing that I think will go in like the higher end's favor is there's not a lot of competition.
Exactly.
Right now, you know, there's a lot of old runoff award season movies, but not much new stuff. So we'll see. Rotten Tomatoes, I said 73.
74, bitch. Price is right.
Oh, I did 20. I went low. Firestarter has an 11.
Yeah, I think this is going to be as bad.
I do not think this is going to be as bad as Firestarter at all. I truly don't.
I hope it's like at least worse. Like I think Firestarter sucks for whatever reason. I've seen it twice now, and like at least it has a couple of moments that were so bad they made me laugh. Like the baby
the first 5 minutes
bursting on fire.
Yeah, the first 5 minutes of the movie, and then the rest is a total wash.
The latter half is pretty rough.
I want to dunk that movie into the night swim pool.
Well, don't speak too soon. It hasn't come out yet.
Okay, so collective rating, I said 3.5.
I said 3.8. I'm going off of the Smile and Mithrigan vibes from this.
So we have a couple new categories this year that we can try if we don't feel like there's a concrete number, or if it makes sense, we can omit it from the episode.
I'm a little concerned about that for this, but worth a try.
For this next one in particular, I think there are several movies on this list where it's going to be really difficult, if not impossible, to gauge the answer. But that is kill count.
Yes.
So these are going to be kind of wild guesses, I think. Maybe we want to keep these as bonus points.
Should we stipulate on-screen kills, not reference?
Yes.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I built all my guesses around that. And two, I think that if we don't have universal agreement on it, we don't count the point.
Agreed.
Yeah, I added this qualifier for some of the later movies, but I think in general the way I was thinking of it is on-screen deaths of characters that are either named or have at least one line.
Yeah, and I think the way we'll do this is if it's obvious, we'll have that number. If it's not obvious, I'll Google it.
Okay.
And if there's a clear number that we can agree on, then we'll go with it. If not, we'll scratch it.
Yeah, my thought is like, you know, like there's the PG-13 or PG thing that they do where like a bunch of people run into a building and then the building explodes, right?
Yeah.
Like you don't actually see the deaths or whatever.
Yeah.
Okay, do you count those? What do you do? If they cut away from the death right before,
I think that can be fine as long as we're seeing the lead up. If there is like what in a horror movie would traditionally count as like a kill scene.
Mm-hmm. I'm with it.
So for Night Swim, I said there's going to be 3 kills.
I also said 3.
Oh, I said 4.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I think, you know, with these PG-13 horror movies, especially with the limited setting of a haunted pool, you're not going to get a
huge body count.
Y'all aren't thinking about something. Actually, I should have gone higher. pool party, dog. There's going to be a pool party.
If there's a pool party scene...
Yeah, and honestly, though, if they do a pool party and the pool, like, turns into a blender and, like, shreds everyone in the pool...
That would be fucking sick.
I would also come around on the movie.
That'd be fucking
so,
sick.
we'll see.
Okay, another new category. Who will rate it the highest? And I think this is a good gauge of, you know, what kind of movie we think this is going to be.
No,
How well we
this
understand
category.
each other's taste. Yeah.
This one I think is good.
I think Cleve is actually going to like this one the most.
I said myself.
I said Ben.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah, this is why. This is a good addition.
It's going to be an interesting one.
I like this.
I feel pretty confident with guessing myself on this one just based off of our initial round of discussion for what we think this movie is going to be based off of the... I think I'm the most optimistic going in.
Ben does have something, though, because, like, very often we'll go into these movies and I'll be like, it's gonna suck, and I come out of it like really, I think a great example is Malignant.
Well, I think we all went into that, like,
dragging our feet.
pretty cynically, and we're very pleasantly surprised.
Mm-hmm. Additional thoughts, shite swim. That's what I say.
I just put, how do you turn a 4-minute short about a haunted pool into a full feature film?
Correct, I agree with that.
Just drain the pool already.
I just sort of summarized what I already articulated. I said 2024's mid-budget horror that is decently received and moderately successful, a la Smile, The Boogeyman, etc. That's my prediction.
So, moving on, we had a whole slew of Sundance horror movie announcements. And this is the first one of the set. This is the one I probably feel the most confident that is going to release in the first half of the year. Just because we got a trailer for it, and Neon is attached to it. And it has a Norway theatrical release date. This movie is Handling the Undead. This is by the writer who wrote the novel Let the Right One In. This was her second novel that is now being turned into a feature film.
First she did Dracula's, and now she's doing zombies.
But this film is not made by the same director that did Let the Right One In. It's just based off of the source material from the same author.
Correct. Do you want to read the synopsis?
Sure. On a hot summer day in Oslo, the dead mysteriously awaken, and 3 families are thrown into chaos when their deceased loved ones come back to them. Who are they, and what do they want? We did have a trailer for this one. I think it looks pretty good. It does look sort of like a sentimental kind of art house drama style movie that is like tinged with some horror elements, which is very much similar to what Let the Right One is. I do love Let the Right One In. I think watching this trailer, I was very much like, this looks kind of pretentious.
Yes,
it looks very Euro art house.
It looks kind of pretentious and sappy. But again, I do really love Let the Right One In. So I don't know. I'm cautiously optimistic on this one. This was one where if it had just been us picking movies, I don't think I would have even suggested it as like a horror movie. But I would like to see it, and our patrons voted on it, and they want to hear us talk about it, so we're gonna.
Yeah. I think it looks intriguing. It's very European art house core, where it's very clinical, and it looks kind of boring, honestly. But, you know, I have loved plenty of movies like that at the same time.
Yeah,
so
totally.
Why don't you start with opening box office?
Yeah, well, considering that we don't even have a confirmed U.S. release yet, and that if we get one, it's certain to be some sort of limited release, I'm not expecting a huge opening weekend for this. Doing well at Sundance would give it some clout, so I think it'll do decent. I said $2 million, but that might even be high for opening weekend.
I did $600,000.
Okay, I said 1.1 million.
Okay, so sort of in the middle. I think you're probably closer to on the money on that one, especially after talking about it. For Rotten Tomatoes, I think that this has all the hallmarks of a critical darling. I said 89%.
I said 86.
I meant to type 60, but I typed 69 instead.
Nice.
Let fate decide. I'm going with 69.
Okay, I think that's probably a little bit closer, honestly. Collective rating, I said 4. I think we'll probably like it.
I said 3.7.
3.5.
Okay. Kill count, this is no, like, I don't fucking know, man.
This is the
2. I said 2.
I said 0.
You said 0.
You say they're all going to be already dead. They're handling the undead. They're not killing.
I think
the trailer actually sets up for us to think that like some of them do then start killing people. So I said on screen 4.
Okay, I think that's high, but I think we're going to at least get a couple.
So I thought about it, right? And it was like, it's a global thing, right? They've got these zombies that they're
it's only in the trailer. They say it's only in Oslo.
Oh, right.
It's not
Okay,
not anywhere outside.
I think that still works for that, but like it's only in Oslo, but like there's the whole town, right, has these zombies that they're looking after, right? So there's going to be some part where they all go evil, and we have to like see the fallout from that. And I think that we'll get a few kills there.
My prediction is, I think basically you're right. Like the trailer does set it up that like the undead are gonna, they're kind of aggressive or whatever. I think we see one of them like strangling a rabbit in the trailer or something like that. But I think we're gonna. I went with 2. I went with 2. Yes, people deaths. Because I think we're gonna get one on-screen death of one of the zombies killing somebody in one of the families, like one of the central families. That's gonna happen. And then I think somebody is probably gonna kill themselves because they're too sad to deal with their dead loved ones coming back. It is
a sappy, wanky-looking film, so that is, I think, a very astute judgment.
Tease, do you remember that movie Ravenous that we covered?
Yes, I do.
I'm worried that it's going to be
I'm so afraid of that.
I just put sappy for my comments.
Yeah, it just said it's probably going to be slow and boring. Who's going to rate it the highest, though?
Oh, yeah.
And why is it Tease?
I also put Tease.
I also said me again.
All right.
I think I have the highest tolerance for foreign film wank.
Yeah.
No, Ben's up there.
Yeah. But for slow movies,
yes,
especially.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like, I like a lot of Euro art house stuff, but they have to be wild.
Yeah, Ben's more for like the really wild gonzo shit.
Yeah.
Me, it's just I have a classic movies. So I'm gonna.
Yours, if it
you can't read, so.
What's that? Where's that coming from?
Yeah, so for my additional thoughts, I said, let the right zombie in. What's next? Let the right Wolfman in.
Let the Wolfman in.
Yeah.
Pretty good. I just said it's going to probably be slow and boring.
Sappy, yeah. All right.
Crazy House.
Let's move.
Cleve, why don't you intro this
Synopsis.
one? Crazy House.
Crazy House. That's with a K for you listeners. Synopsis. Set in the 1990s. Excellent. Crazy House. I really gotta say like Crazy House. That K really puts emphasis on it.
Very crazy taxi.
Yes. Follows religious homemaker Bernie and his sitcom family. Well, it says specifies religious. It's interesting. I don't know that'll come into play. When Russian workers in Bernie's house turn out to be wanted criminals, Bernie has to man up and save his imprisoned family while slowly going crazy. I'm excited. I love this premise. I think this is of all of them. I probably gave this one some of the most favorable like notes.
We don't have a trailer for this.
We do have a cast.
We do have a cast.
Nick Frost,
Kevin Connolly, Alicia Silverstone.
Nick Frost, famously of Shaun of the Dead and Hot Fuzz fame, starring as the father, and they're doing this kind of sitcom meets harsh reality thing that's been done a few times over the last decade.
Yeah.
Which I find like always kind of entertaining.
I mean, it certainly has lots of entertaining potential.
Yeah. I mean, it's got a lot of like Die Hard vibes. You know, like trying to save his family. He's probably crawling around on a film set. You know,
based off of the little to nothing we know about it.
It's hard to say, but I think it'll be like a Hans Gruber character.
Stuff like this is harder to predict.
But yeah, great premise.
Yeah, so this one is premiering at Sundance this month in January. There's no official release date. There's one that's listed for February, limited, I'm sure, in the Netherlands.
Yeah, it's a Dutch film.
So we'll see. Hopefully it gets a wide release over here, or at least a limited release.
Yeah, or a VOD or something.
And because of that, I gave it $500,000.
Same, spot on.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
I said 600,000.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, for the same reason as Handling the Undead, if it even gets a limited U.S. release, it's going to be small. And I think just based off the premise, this has less broad appeal.
Yeah,
so.
But I will say, Nick Frost and Alicia Silverstone, I'm assuming this is in English.
Oh, yeah, I mean, it's going to certainly be an English language film.
That might help it a little bit.
It's true.
But we'll see.
I guess we'll see who distributes it in the U.S.
Rotten Tomatoes.
75.
72.
78.
We're all very close.
Yeah. Hey, y'all kind of got me, though. I'm the Price is Right.
stuck in the
middle,
Like,
yeah.
it's going to be very
You might get
precise for
lucky.
me.
You might get lucky.
Yeah. Collective rating, I gave it a 4.
Also, a 4. Yeah.
I give it a 3.2.
I'm trying to be optimistic on that one.
Kill count, 6.
5.
7.
Again, you sandwiched me. What have you done? And I put myself for the highest rating.
I put Ben for the highest
I
rating on
also
this
put
one.
myself for
This
the
one
highest.
seems like a very Ben film.
Yeah. For additional thoughts, I said, I bet this comedy is going to be kind of annoying. We've seen this premise of reality invading sitcom spaces a few times before, and I gotta be honest, foreign language broad comedies can be very hit or miss.
Yeah.
Especially as an American that doesn't get European humor always,
Yeah, the Dutch have a very specific brand of humor that often does not land with Americans. For my additional comments, I said as far as Dutch films go, I think this will skew more towards Tom Six than George Slouser. And in parentheses, I put it feels almost stereotypically Dutch for the title to be in English, but with a K.
Folks are going to be Russian to see this movie.
if it's somewhere where we can go see it.
All right, and the hard right turn to this next movie.
Yes.
Yeah, next up is Godzilla X Kong.
They're not verses anymore.
No.
Now they're boyfriends.
They've squashed the
And now they're
beef.
dating.
Yeah.
Now they're in a domestic partnership.
Yeah.
Now they're squashing the beef.
Because gay marriage isn't legal in the Hollow Earth yet.
Situationship, I think that's what they call it now.
That's the new drama.
The New Empire. Following their explosive showdown, Godzilla and Kong must reunite and against a colossal undiscovered threat hidden within our world, challenging their very existence and our own.
Well, yes, this is the latest in the legendary U.S. Godzilla releases. The big threat that they talk about in this one, I saw the trailer. It's just a big orange monkey. It's just a big orangutan this time.
Yeah.
Not as cool.
He
as
doesn't.
Mechagodzilla,
I
I'm
must
sorry.
say too. At least in that trailer, I know sometimes trailers have unfinished digital effects and stuff. I did not think that big orange monkey looked very good.
Also-
nor did I think the little baby King Kong looked
they're-
very good either.
See,
It's really like the Disneyfication of Godzilla and Kong. This whole movie. They're doing a baby Kong, like a baby Yoda. He's got the Infinity Gauntlet.
That's
It's
sort
all
of in the
fucking-
tradition of like the Toho movies. Like I don't think like Godzilla and Kong is like too sacred. It's like full
There has
of
been
goofy.
like baby Kongs and
There's
stuff.
been baby
and
Godzilla
Zillas.
and all kinds of
Son of
dumb
Kong.
team up. So it's like it's in that style. I'm just like, as I've said many times on the podcast, I'm not a huge fan of the other legendary ones. I thought Godzilla vs. Kong was probably the best of them so far,
really
mostly
enjoyed
just for that back half, like the fight in the back half. So I'm hoping this is going to be good. I mean, it's Wingard and Barrett again,
Also Dan Stevens.
and Dan Stevens reuniting
Sexy
again.
man.
That's
It's
going to
gonna
be
the year
good.
of Dan Stevens. He's in a couple of movies this year.
So I'm always
super here for it. 'cause
I'm
he's
always
great.
happy. I'm always happy to see Dan Stevens.
I will say the trailer makes it look kind of shite.
Yeah, man,
I
especially
saw someone on Twitter, they recut the trailer but put the boys are back in town over it, and it made me like twice as interested, even though it was an unofficial.
Well, yeah, because you're projecting a more interesting tone onto the film than it will actually have.
I mean, after -1,
that's what I'm most worried about. Is like, I enjoyed Godzilla vs. Kong enough, but like coming off so hot off the heels of the best Godzilla movie I've ever seen in my life. Like,
possibly the best ever. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how this movie is going to hold a candle to it at all. Yeah. I'm hoping that they just try to do away with as much of the dumb human shit as possible and like just give me the kaiju fights, because that's all I've ever enjoyed about these American ones is the kaiju fights.
I will say one interesting note I saw when I was doing the research is this is being co-written by Simon Barrett, who's great, classic Adam Wingard collaborator, but also Terry Rossio, who wrote Pirates of the Caribbean, Curse of the Black Pearl,
the good one,
and Shrek, and the 90s Aladdin movie, the animated one.
Okay.
So he kind of no spectacle.
If it's a more if it's a more lighthearted, like adventure-y kind of tone, like that could be that could be not bad. The trailer does virtually nothing for me. That's not necessarily indicative of the movie.
Yeah.
But anyway,
for opening weekend, I predicted 29 million.
I predicted 36 million.
I did 35 because the last one did 38.
Yeah,
I believe so. I did just a little under that.
That was my thinking as well, because I do think that the success of -1 is probably going to hurt this a little bit, but not meaningfully. Yeah, I think also you get diminishing returns with more sequels. So yeah. I don't think this is going to pop off quite as big as Godzilla vs. Kong, but we'll see.
I said 70.
For Rotten Tomatoes? Yeah. I said 76. It'll probably be decently received.
You're at 38.
God, I hope it's not that bad.
Yeah. Was the first one that much of a stinker on Rotten Tomatoes?
I don't think so. I feel like the first one was decently well received.
For collective rating, I said a solid middle of the road 3.
Yes.
I said 3.3.
Wow.
I think two of us will give it a 3, and one person will give it a 3.5, something like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so this kill count.
This is the one. Yeah, on screen.
This is one I don't know how we're gonna track this at all. I did a total wild guess of 12. Again, these are characters that are either named or have at least one line, but I don't think they're gonna be like.
I was thinking like visible kills. Yeah, so I said 20.
I was thinking like there'd be like a Roland Emmerich style disaster scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I said 280. But
how do you count that high? That's why it's like I said for this one, excluding faceless kills from city destruction, etc. Because like in fucking Godzilla vs. Kong, when they're fighting in Tokyo or wherever that last fight scene takes place, and like all the buildings are collapsed, there's like thousands of people are dying.
Yeah. I think this one's kind of hard to judge, honestly.
Yeah.
Who do we think is going to rate it the highest? I think it's
Cleve.
I said Ben.
Oh, well.
I don't know why.
I mean, I think you out of all of us like the legendary monster movies like the most. Like you're the biggest on King of the Monsters. So
that's true.
I think rewatch it. Yeah, I do not think that movie's trash. I think that's why I think Cleve is gonna be the highest.
Additional notes. I said, obviously, we'll have Spence on for this.
Yes, bring on Spence. That's also what
I said. I like it when Big Monkey hit Big Lee's.
Well, they won't be hitting each other this time. I guess the other Big Monkey will.
Yeah, there's another Big Monkey.
I guess, you like it when Big Monkey hits other Big Monkey and Big Lizard.
Yeah.
I just said, it ain't -1.
Yeah, I said this will do well commercially and probably receive generally positive critical reviews, but we will probably all enjoy it less in the recent wake of -1. I think that's like a pretty safe bet. All right, the next one is a currently untitled Radio Silence monster project. Radio Silence being the writer-director team who did Ready or Not, and Scream 6.
And 5.
That's right. All we have now is a brief synopsis. A young girl is abducted from her Boston brownstone in order to extract a ransom from her wealthy, shadowy father. But what seemed like a straightforward kidnapping turns out to be far more complicated than her captors could have imagined.
Because, my guess, Giancarlo Esposito is a monster.
Oh, I hope so. Yeah, cast, we've got Dan Stevens, again, which is exciting. Catherine Newton.
She was the lead in Freaky.
Oh, okay. She's good.
great.
Yeah. Melissa Barrera. Good to see that she has been picked up for something.
It's so funny that she's working with Radio Silence.
Yeah.
After doing Scream 5 and 6, and then, obviously with all the shit show that happened with 7.
And Giancarlo Esposito, yeah. Really hard to predict this one. It doesn't even have a fucking title or a trailer. I'm cautiously optimistic because Radio Silence has made more movies that I've enjoyed than ones that I haven't. Scream 6 kind of fucking sucked, but it's not enough for me to write them off completely just yet.
Yeah, and I will say, even Scream 6, even though we didn't like it that much, it was still a box office success.
True.
It was still pretty much a critical success. I think, Rotten Tomatoes was still fairly high.
Yeah. Yeah, no, this is all true. For opening weekend box office, I said 10 million, especially since it's a non-existing IP. I think it'll do modestly well, but probably is not going to be like an enormous box office draw or anything.
I said 11 mil.
Man. What about you, Cleve?
I said 800,000.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Well,
that seems really low.
That does seem really low.
Yeah.
Hey, but all you have to do is,
have it do like 3 or 4 million, and you still win.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just under a mil. I think.
Yeah, I think it'll do better than that. But
I hope it does. I really like everything here. I don't know why I gave it that low of a rating. Was it actually copy pasted from a different one? It might have been.
I don't know.
Oh, well, I keep it though. I stand by it.
Yeah,
it's a good idea, and I stand by.
I stand by.
Rotten Tomatoes, I said 87.
I said 82.
60.
Okay, decent little spread there.
For collective rating, I said 4.
I said 3.8.
3.5.
Ooh, now I'm the one sandwiched between y'all.
Good.
Kill count, I said 9.
I said 4. We don't even have a I have no fucking idea. Wild guess.
And now I'm the meat. I said 6.
Okay, nice.
And in the sandwich.
Who will rate it the highest, and why is it me?
It's Ben. I also said Ben. I could see it being either of you, though. Yeah.
I'm just happy to look at Dan Stevens more in a movie.
Additional thoughts and predictions.
So cool, man.
He's great.
He's great.
Additional thoughts and predictions. I said it's hard to really predict anything specific without a trailer or even a title, but I'm hoping this is a return to form for Radio Silence after Scream 6. Cautiously optimistic.
Yeah, I said I hope this is more like Ready or Not and less like Scream.
Yep.
Dan Stevens hot.
There you go. You heard it here first, folks.
All right. Next is an interesting one.
Yes.
Civil War.
The new Alex Garland film.
Yeah, so we have a trailer for this one.
We do.
A24 is already starting the marketing cycle for it, which makes sense because it's their biggest budget movie to date.
Yeah, something like a budget of like 75 million or something like that. The highest budgeted A24 film to date.
Expectations for this.
Yeah, this is another one that doesn't really seem like a horror movie at all, but people want to hear us talk about. We've talked about all of Alex Garland's other stuff. So, but yeah, it's a near future American Civil War movie.
Yeah, in the near future, a group of war journalists attempt to survive while reporting the truth as the United States stands on the brink of civil war.
Have y'all seen the map they put out?
of
Yes.
where the lines are drawn.
I'm shaking my head. Yeah, I don't agree with much of any of it.
Yeah.
I think it makes sense that California would hop off and be their own republic, and it makes sense that Texas would for sure. But like all the rest was like Florida, and I don't think it's awful. I'm glad that it's not. They're not just dividing it north-south again. I think that's lazy. I mean, I think the biggest issue that we all see here is that as a Brit, like Alex, like what makes Alex Garland qualified to make a political film about the United States? I'm okay. I'm willing to say outsider perspective, good.
Again, it can be. I mean, look at somebody like Paul Verhoeven you brought up, or Werner Herzog.
Yeah.
I mean, Herzog doesn't make many like American films, but
however, I don't know if Garland has that outsider perspective.
Yeah. This is the most nervous I've ever been for an Alex Garland movie. However, I will say I'm also trying to be generous based off of like a couple of things. Like, one, it's fiction. It does not have to be like politically like poignant. It doesn't. And Alex Garland has always been a very good conceptual writer. And I think for that reason alone, like, I'm not going into this like totally pessimistic. I'm on the fence about it, but I mean, it's got a great cast. We didn't even mention the cast. What we got? We got Jesse Plemons, Kaylee Spaney, who's in Devs.
She was Priscilla in that new Priscilla movie, the Elvis one.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Kirsten Dunst, Nick Offerman, Stephen McKinley Henderson, who is also in Devs. So a lot of and Dune. Yeah, a lot of Garland regulars. I mean, aesthetically, it looks good. It's got that clean Alex Garland sci-fi look. Got a lot of good actors in it.
Yeah, and I mean, like, even when Alex Garland is bad, his stuff is always interesting.
I think,
like, on one hand, you have like Devs and Annihilation, and on the other hand, you have DMC, Devil May Cry, and fucking Men. But, you know, at least he's swinging for the fences every time.
I'm still a Men defender. I do think it's the worst movie he's made, but
I've come around on Men.
I think it's and
look, like a true bisexual.
And I think I think that
you've come around on Men, or you've come around Men.
Poor
I gotta leave a little mystery for the listeners.
I guess. Yeah.
I gotta leave a little mystery for the listeners. I can't give it all away.
I think Alex, like, a lot of people are really quick to jump on like the clowning bandwagon on this one, because it's an easy target and because a lot of people hated Men. And I think that people's cultural memory is very short. Memory. And I think that a lot of people will totally change their tune on a filmmaker based off of how much they liked or didn't like that filmmaker's most recent film.
Very short attention spans.
Short attention spans. A lot of people are really quick to write off Alex Garland because they didn't like Men, but forgetting that he also made Ex Machina.
Fuck, man, he made Devs. Devs was so good.
Exactly.
So one thing that kind of had me worried was on IMDb for the longest time, the runtime for this was listed as 3 hours and 15 minutes.
Yeah, way too fucking long.
A24 just put out an announcement a couple days ago that confirmed that it was cut down to an hour 49.
That's a huge cut.
That makes me
bode well.
Has me worried.
Yeah. I think 3 hours and 15 minutes for this type of movie is way too long, and it needed to be cut. But that is a massive cut.
I'll tell you what it is.
And I'm worried that it's like I worry how you cut that much out of a movie and don't irreparably fuck with its pacing.
Nearly in half.
Are you guys saying release the Garland cut?
Maybe. I don't want to watch 3 hours of this movie. Like, a solid 2.5 hours, I think, for a movie like this would be fine if it's a good movie.
You know what I think it is? I think it's the studio responding to Beau is Afraid
and the Northman.
And the Northman, exactly.
Mm-hmm. I think they didn't release the Northman, but I think seeing,
looking at the wind, you know, like I think that's a response to that.
Yeah, it does make me a little nervous, the size of that cut. Anyway, opening weekend, I said 15 million. I think Alex Garland has enough cultural pull that the A24 heads will get out to see this opening weekend, and that'll bring in a modest return.
I said 22 mil. If the marketing cycle is starting already, I can only imagine what it's going to be like in April.
Didn't realize its budget was that high, and I'm sure a lot of that budget is going into the marketing, so I'm regretting my number, because I was also comparing it to Men. I said 3 million.
Yeah, it ain't going to be that.
Yeah, no, it's going to be a huge flop if it does that poorly.
Rotten Tomatoes, I said 68. I think this is going to be divisive.
I said 71.
75.
All right, all pretty close again. Collective rating.
Get sandwiched.
Collective rating, I said 3.6. I think that this has a lot of potential to be like Men, where I like it more than you guys do.
You like Men more than we do? Is that what you're saying, T?
Why not?
I said 3.7.
Wow. Damn it. Sandwiched. I'm 3.5.
No, I'm sandwiched. I said 3.6.
Oh, right.
I'm sandwiched.
So you gotta hit it right on the money.
I don't even know if that's possible with an average of 3. Kill count, this is another one like Godzilla Kong. I said 5 named characters. I don't really know how we're going to track it.
I said 11.
I said, because, like, I was thinking about it, and, like, Godzilla v. Kong, you know, you've got people on the street day who can get, like, fucking murdered, right? And that's, like, to me, that's still a kill count. So, you know, I said, like, 20. But for this, I think it's a Garland film, R rating, big budget, all the rest of it. I think we're going to see a lot of faces get shot. I think we're going to see a lot of people. So I said 40.
Yeah, again, I just don't even know how we keep track of that. That's why I limited mine to named characters, because obviously it's a Civil War movie. There's going to be gunfights, so there's going to be a bunch of nameless and faceless dudes in combat fatigues getting their heads blown off. And it's like, I mean, I guess we can count that. I don't know. Yeah. I think that's hard to count.
If we see them die on screen.
Yeah, like I said, if it's clear what the count is at the end of the movie, we'll go off of that. Okay. If not, we'll Google it and see if it has a cleared answer.
Who will rate it the highest? I said me.
I said you.
I said me, actually.
Really?
I
think,
okay. Yeah, I don't know. It could very well be you, T.
Yeah, I don't think it's going to be Cleve.
No.
And for
too political.
For additional thoughts, predictions, I kind of just summarized some stuff I've said already. The trailer makes me nervous about a Brit writer having anything substantial to say or even a true understanding about American politics, but Garland is a strong conceptual writer, so I'm hoping that fear is unfounded. I will enjoy this the most out of the three of us, and in parentheses, the trailer music sounds like Ben Salisbury is coming back to score another Garland film. So...
my comment was something I've already noticed with the marketing is the discourse around this movie will be worse / more annoying than the movie itself.
1,000%.
If anyone's going to be the most,
it already is. It already is.
Jesus Christ, yeah, is that true? I said states' rights, more like states' wrongs.
All right, what's next?
Next is The Strangers Chapter 1. So,
oh boy.
Lionsgate, I think? Yeah, Lionsgate is doing a sort of Fear Street type of thing where they're putting out 3 Strangers movies in the theaters in 1 year. Chapter 1, 2, and 3.
Bro.
Except maybe, because when this one flops, we'll see.
Well, they already made the others, right?
Yeah, they're in the can.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean they'll get theatrical releases. If the first one does poorly enough, they might just quietly dump them on Paramount Plus or something.
Yeah. I will say, Rennie Harlan, pretty great. Pretty great name. Nightmare 4, Die Hard 2, Deep Blue Sea, like, holy shit, dude.
Yeah.
I don't know, that has me a little bit more positive. And too, I think The Original Strangers is a good movie. And I haven't seen Pray at Night or any of the others. I hear Pray at Night's
liked
good.
Pray at Night.
Pray at Night is fine. It has one really great standout sequence that kind of elevates the entire movie just from the strength of that scene. But otherwise, I mean, it's just rehashing. I gotta say, boys, I had not watched the trailer for this one until I was filling out these predictions, and that trailer's got me real fucking nervous.
Yeah.
It's one of the most...
It's more of a clip.
It's one of the most boring fucking trailers I've ever seen. It's just The Strangers again. Yeah. It's literally just... It's a girl alone in a house, hears a knock on the door. She goes and says, "Who is it?" And a soft female voice from outside says, "Is Tamara here?" It's exactly the same.
See, the most baffling thing about it to me is, like, of all the horror franchises to revive in a 3-part separate theatrical
Why did
thing,
they keep...
Why The Strangers? Like, what kind of deep lore are you getting into over 3 movies?
I didn't even
with the fucking Strangers.
I didn't even understand why they did Prey at Night. Like, that was confusing to me.
Yeah.
A fucking 10-year later sequel, and now they're doing 3 of them? What? Who thinks this franchise has legs? The first one is a perfectly fine, serviceable slasher movie.
It made a shitload of money. The first Strangers movie? Yeah, I did gangbusters.
They didn't make a sequel for 10 years. I don't think it did that well.
Yeah, well, and the more baffling thing about the new one to me, or the new 3, is, like, at least Prey at Night had, like, some known names in it. Like Christina Hendricks.
Also,
like legend.
Prey at Night had a $10 million opening box office, which is like worth
yeah.
Like that gives the studio enough like of a reason alone, frankly.
I guess. I don't know to greenlight fucking 3 of them.
Yeah. Let's see what did
the first one do opening weekend?
20 million
opening weekend or total
opening.
Oh.
Yeah,
in 2008,
$9 million budget.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah.
I think this is a super interesting experiment in that I don't think we've ever seen like a 3-part movie release in theaters like this. Like, of course we had X and Pearl.
Yeah.
But that's not the same because this is literally chapter 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Like,
and also X and Pearl like stand just fine on their own.
Exactly.
And we've had to wait over a year at this point for Maxine as well. So, I mean, yeah, seeing 3 of them back to back. I mean, yeah, the next closest thing we've got is like Fear Street, like you mentioned,
and that where they just dropped on Netflix.
They just dumped those on Netflix. Yeah, I for opening weekend I said 7 million. I think I did look up how Prey at Night did. I think it has less sauce now than it did then, so I don't even think it'll do that well. But it is a recognizable IP, and 40-year-old dudes will be like, "Hey, I remember The Strangers. That was pretty good," and go see it. So yeah.
I said 11 mil.
8.
You're sandwiched again. Rotten Tomatoes, I said 60%.
I said 42.
Optimistic, 75.
Wow, that's quite optimistic. For collective rating, I said 2.8.
I said 3.
3.5.
Ah, you're the sandwich this time, Ben. Kill count, I said 3. These movies tend to have pretty low kill count because they're limited setting.
I said 5.
I also said 5.
And who will rate it the highest? Ben.
Me.
Yeah.
Ben. Yeah. We all said Ben.
Okay. I'm the biggest Prey at Night defender. Mostly because that single scene, honestly.
Correct. For additional thoughts and predictions, I just said, I almost fell asleep watching this trailer. They're doing nothing new with this premise. It's literally just The Strangers again. Fucking snooze.
I said, I think parts 2 and 3 will go direct to streaming.
I think you're right.
I said, hopefully, considering the director, there's some fun practicals.
Yeah.
We shall see.
Cleve, why don't you introduce this one?
The Watchers! Yeah, there's so many reasons why it should be me, shouldn't it? Okay, yeah, The Watchers. Synopsis. When Mina, a 28-year-old artist, not relatable to me at all, finds shelter after getting stranded in an expansive, untouched forest in Western Ireland. She unknowingly becomes trapped alongside 3 strangers that are preying on her at night. Sorry, I read that wrong. 3 strangers that are watched and stalked by mysterious creatures each night. And I think the thing that you're all waiting for me to say is that it is directed by Ishana Shyamalan, M. Night's daughter.
Her directorial debut.
Nepo baby. Nepo baby alert.
Here's what I'm going to say. I'm giving her a clean slate. I am not.
Sure.
I am
I
not
think
going
you
to
should.
tether
I think
her
you should.
to her father. I think that's not fair to her. And I wanna see. Also, I think the synopsis sounds dope.
Yeah, it sounds right up your alley. It's almost certainly some Fae bullshit.
Yeah, which
almost
is my jam.
certainly.
And I know, like Shyamalan, and you know, maybe some good will come out of all of the bad, right? Because I know that what's the stupid movie, Lady in the Water?
Yeah,
with the character named Cleveland. You know, that was like
the
a
one
story,
where the monster is called the Scrunt.
With the Scrunt, that was a story he told his kid, right? Who is now directing this movie.
Oh, so you think this is going to be a spiritual successor to Lady in the Water?
But she's going to take all of the bad from that and make it good.
I just hope the Scrunt shows up.
You know, she's had like a childhood to think on these things.
What if that's the mysterious creatures that are watching and stalking these people each night with Scrunts? Just grass wolves?
Maybe that's what it needs.
It's the return of the Scrunt.
I don't like Shyamalan, but Return of the Scrunt. There's something about that just works for me. It's like Return of the Mac. Okay.
What'd you say for opening weekend?
2 million.
Again, really low.
Yeah, well, we should mention the cast: Dakota Fanning and Georgina Campbell, who was the lead in Barbarian.
Mm-hmm.
Fucking
She's
awesome.
great.
I said 18 mil.
I said 12 mil. I think she will pull people on name recognition alone. The benefits of being the Nepo baby. But I mean, I have a hard time seeing this thing being like super successful opening weekend.
Yeah. I mean,
hard to say. We don't have a trailer or anything yet.
First two major films, Sixth Sense and Unbreakable, huge hits.
All of his movies
gave him a blank check for the rest of his shitty career.
All of his movies do pretty well at the box office. Rotten Tomatoes, Cleve?
60.
I said 65.
I said 84.
Whoa, okay.
high.
Ben optimistic.
Well, collective rating of 4. I think we're going to like it.
I said 3.2. I'm skeptical.
I said 3.5.
Kill count, 4.
I said 2. Also, a wild guess.
I said 4 as well.
Interesting. So. I think rated the highest.
Oh, really? I said me.
I said Tease, actually.
Cleve's pointing to himself, for those who can't see him.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry. I forget. I was just saying. Sorry, meeting.
I feel like I just assumed that
I think if it has any M. Night tendencies in it, you're gonna hate it.
But maybe she's like rebelling against her dad, and if so, I support it. And we'll see.
I do think it's fair to give her a clean slate.
Maybe she's shooting out to do her own thing, and I remain optimistic.
I think it is probably fair to give her a clean slate. That being said, for my additional thoughts, I said, does M. Night's daughter have the sauce? Probably not.
I know this is based on a book, so I said I'm gonna try to read it beforehand.
Okay.
So
I said good crack, because it's in Ireland. They say that over there. And then I said in parentheses, here's hoping the apple does in fact fall far from the tree.
Let's hope the apple is yeeted from the tree.
Chuck that fucker far away from the tree. I hope so. I hope for the best.
Ben, why don't you do the next one?
Sure, the next one is A Quiet Place Day 1. This is a prequel detailing the origin of the creatures in A Quiet Place.
Hate it. Why? Why do we need an origin?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'm kind of excited for this. It's being written and directed by Michael Sarnowski, who did one of my favorite movies of, I think it was 2020,
watch
Pig, starring Nick Cage.
Yeah, I still haven't seen that, but I've heard it's incredible. It's a really interesting pull for a movie like this. My initial impulses with Clave in that, like, I think I even remember saying on our original Quiet Place episode years and years ago how much I loved that there was no explanation or lore for the creatures, and that made them scarier because they're so alien.
Yeah, we don't know what's happening.
I don't think we need a backstory for this. That being said, interesting writer director attached, could be good. I don't know. We've enjoyed the last two.
Exactly. We've really enjoyed the last two. And on top of that, I think Michael Sarnowski's approach is not going to be just explaining the lore.
I hope not.
It's going to be a small section of experiences.
Lupita Nyong'o is great.
Yeah, she's good.
Actress,
yeah. So is Djimon Hounsou, who is in...
And Alex Wolff, who's from Hereditary. Yeah, it's got a good cast.
That is. Yeah,
it's got a good cast.
What you got, Ben, for opening box?
Opening box office, I actually said 32 million.
I said 35.
I think these movies are huge box office draws. Or at least the last two
I think Part 2 did something like 46 million opening weekend.
I think it did 30-something. So I went down a little bit because
I did
sequels,
too.
Diminishing returns. I said 20 million.
Okay.
I think originally it said 30 million, and I knocked it back a little bit.
I said 35, and I know that's lower than what Part 2 did. I think Part 2 did like 40-something million opening weekend. Yeah. I was surprised to see that.
I think people are tired of origin stories. I like to hope.
That is true. So, that is true.
I'm thinking it'll still make a lot of money because it inevitably will.
What you got for Rotten Tomatoes?
Rotten Tomatoes, I said 89. Strong director... will carry this a long way.
I said 80 just to give a little bit of margin for it to stink, but I do still think it's probably going to be pretty good.
65.
Collective rating, I said 4.2. I really can't undersell how great Pig is.
Yeah.
And I think having that guy heading it will take it a long way.
I said 3.8. Still relatively high.
Just 3.
Okay, there's a decent spread on that one.
You're sandied.
I'm sandied, but y'all have given me some room on either side.
Yeah.
There's a chance. Kill count. I said 8 named characters or characters with at least one line.
Oh, I said 28 just because, if there's any scene like
the opening
of 2, we're gonna get plenty of bodies.
Well, yeah, I think we all had different definitions of kill count for this one.
I said 20 for the same reason.
Okay. Who will rate it the highest, and why is it me?
I also said me, but I do think it could be Ben.
Cleve said Tease.
I did. You have to, I pointed at
you can't just point. Yeah.
Keep doing that. I'm sorry. Still habits. I think it's Tease.
I like a monster movie as long as they don't get too wrapped up in the lore bullshit. Like when I read
over the thing, I missed the origin part. That's a little fresh. I didn't read that part when I made all my predictions.
I think the monsters in A Quiet Place are cool, and I'd be fine just seeing like more monster stuff.
Yeah,
in general,
I'm fairly bullish on this. Yeah, I basically said that much. I said I have high hopes, and Pig was awesome, and we've had Joe Shea on for the first 2, so. Hopefully we can get
I said that as well. I said this will probably be fine. We don't really need a spin-off of A Quiet Place, but these movies have a good track record. Probably won't be quite as successful as the mainline films, but will do well off name recognition alone.
I said A Quiet Place, gay one, derogatory.
All right, well, we've only got a couple left. Yeah. This next one is a film called Immaculate, which we also don't know much about. The synopsis is Cecilia, a woman of devout faith, is warm welcomed to the picture-perfect Italian countryside where she is offered a new role at an illustrious convent. But it becomes clear to Cecilia that her new home harbors dark and horrifying secrets.
Nunsploitation.
Nunsploitation. This is a Neon produced and distributed film, so I think it's probably just going to be like slightly artier than Nun. It stars Sydney Sweeney and Simona Tabasco. We have no trailer. We don't really have much else to go off of.
I think more art is what The Nun needs.
Sure, yeah, I can agree with that.
I was very excited to read Picture Perfect Italian Countryside. That's an ideal setting.
Yeah, well, Simona Tabasco is an Italian actress, so I wouldn't be surprised if a good chunk of this movie is in Italian.
Could be interesting. For opening weekend box office, hard to say. I think it's going to be pretty low. I said 5 million. Depends on what it's competing against.
Yeah, I think Sydney Sweeney is a decent draw at this point. She is starring in a romantic comedy that's out right now.
Yeah.
Even though her acting looks fucking god-awful in that trailer.
that movie does not look good.
Some of the worst-looking acting I've ever seen.
That movie does not look good.
But I said 7 mil. I think she'll draw
2 million.
2 mil. For Rotten Tomatoes, I said 75%. That's kind of just a guess. I have no idea what the tone of this movie even is. So really hard to say.
I said 51. I looked up the director's last movie, and it was something in the 40s.
Ooh, okay.
So he
you did
says
more research than I did.
He says this is his passion project, and Sydney Sweeney seems really excited. So maybe it'll be better, but
all right,
not getting my hopes too high.
70.
Okay. For collective rating, I said 3. Again, just kind of a wild guess, sort of playing it safe in the middle.
Same.
I said 2.6.
All right, that'll be close. Kill count, another wild guess. No fucking clue. I said 5.
I said 1.
I said 6.
Who will rate it the highest?
Cleve.
Tease.
Ben.
Oh, okay.
I guess we're all...
Yeah, we're all pointing the fingers at each other.
Yeah, that's interesting. A little standoff here.
Yeah.
My wild guess, additional thought prediction, all I said is this will have a lesbian subplot.
Probably.
Nuns.
Will be mid.
Yeah. I said none, but good. But what if?
But what if?
But what if?
And yet, or maybe.
Unless.
All right. Well, why don't you give us our next one?
Yeah, it's only right that it's me, I suppose. Yeah. So the next movie that's coming out this year is
this is our last like movie that we're predicting for the first half of the year. And we've got some bonuses. Yeah.
Well, I think we just sort of have to cover it because we covered the original and the sequel, the really really bad sequel, and that is Return to Silent Hill. Now, what's interesting is I want to start just by saying that it is directed by Christoph Gans, who did
the original
first Silent Hill.
And his other movie, Brotherhood of the Wolf, is fucking wild.
Oh,
I don't know if
I haven't seen it.
Y'all should see it at some point. It's
wild good.
Yes. Yes. It's the closest thing we'll ever get to a Bloodborne movie.
Whoa.
Okay.
Well, that's
okay.
But it was made in like the 90s, and it's like really gonzo and weird. But it's also
I'm already sold.
That sounds wild.
Bloodborne movie.
It seems like we should watch that for the podcast. That sounds like a good.
It would be a good. It's very long. It's almost 3 hours. It's a thing. But anyway.
Right. So yeah, Return to Silent Hill. And the premise is just Silent Hill 2.
Yeah.
When a mysterious letter calls James back to Silent Hill in search of his one true love, he finds a once recognizable town transformed by an unknown evil. As James transcends deeper into the darkness, he encounters terrifying figures, both familiar and new, and begins to question his own sanity as he struggles to make sense of reality and hold on long enough to save his lost love, Mary. Being a pretty big fan still of Silent Hill 2, I'm really curious. It is a great game. I don't think it has aged well. I like it for the memory I had playing it as a child, but I looking back at it now, I don't necessarily think it is great. Christoph Gans, at the very least, the movie will have some hopefully have some cool practicals and stuff.
Yeah, I mean,
Silent Hill, the Silent Hill movie, not a good movie at all, but some of the set design and practicals are fun.
One of the best things about the original movie is the atmosphere.
Yeah.
And I think one of the limitations of that movie, on the other hand, was the limitations of the CG. And
which is pretty bad, yeah.
Probably 20 years later, they can do a lot better with that. So
yeah.
So does this movie have the budget to do that much better CG?
Yeah, the way I look at it is Christoph Gans. I remember we talked about on our Silent Hill episode that he got that gig from being such a big Silent Hill fanboy. So it's he obviously has love for the source material, and I think, like you mentioned, he captures the atmosphere really well in the first one. The story is just kind of a mess, which I guess is not super out of character for Silent Hill in general.
But thankfully, I feel like Silent Hill 2's story is a little more grounded than Silent Hill.
Cleaner, tighter. Yeah, it's just the one guy doing it's
well, if you'll recall, the first movie is not a direct adaptation of the first Silent Hill game. They tried to pull in all the stuff.
But it's got
they brought fucking Pyramid Head in.
The plot of Silent Hill 2 is way less more convoluted than the crazy cult shit they get in the movie.
Sure.
Also, in the movie, it does have most of the beats from the original Silent Hill, and then a lot more.
Yeah.
Right. So
I generally think that this movie will probably have good vibes. Like, you'll get the vibes right, but the story will probably be convoluted and stupid. What do you think it's gonna? How do you think it's gonna do opening weekend?
I think it is going to make $9 million.
I said $8 million.
I said 16 million. What I think is going to be interesting, and something to consider is, I wonder how soon Silent Hill 2, the remake game, is going to come out to this being put out in theaters. Because if they come out pretty closely,
I mean, surely they will.
That's
right?
going to be a huge bump.
It's like it's like the ideal joint marketing opportunity. Yeah, that's true. I hadn't even considered that.
Yeah,
You're
it's
right.
gonna be weird though. Like, yeah, because I know like the game is bringing a lot of like new stuff to the table too. Like
Bloober Team.
Yeah, they're like doing more than just like remastering it. Like they're fully readapting the story and adding more stuff to it, which again I think why. And then knowing Gon's like it's probably gonna have more, and it's gonna take some extra turns and stuff as well. So like I doubt they're gonna take. I doubt they're gonna interpret it the same way. The other thing too, though, like that I think is worth considering is you can't make Silent Hill fans happy. It's not fucking possible.
Yeah.
Because again, it's all like everything is particularly with Silent Hill.
Honestly,
steeped in
though,
nostalgia.
I don't give a shit about whether it makes Silent Hill fans happy. I just care about if it makes me happy. I don't give a shit how Silent Hill fans feel.
Just for the sake of like predicting how it's gonna make.
Well, what do you think? What do you think it's gonna get on Rotten Tomatoes? What do you think that?
15.
I said 28.
I think it's gonna be. I think the
low.
Silent Hill fans are gonna review bomb it. I think it's gonna.
Well, critics.
We are going off of critical score. But I also don't think like critics.
Dogpile.
Critics don't care about Silent
Yeah,
Hill.
I said 22.
Correct.
I said 22. I think it's you're totally right, and I don't trust Konami with any IPs anymore.
I also just expect it's going to be bad. So for collective rating, I said 2. I think that's maybe a little generous.
2.5.
I said 2.3. I am the meat.
You're the sandwich. Kill count 7.
8.
5.
Yeah, I don't know.
Now you're saying
Who will rate it the highest? Cleve,
Me.
for sure. I think that's
you will.
really.
really interesting.
Yeah, I think that's unlikely. I think Cleve is.
Yeah, because like even if the story is dog shit, I'm probably still gonna rate it higher just because of the practice.
Yeah, you're the one with all the nostalgia for Silent Hill too.
Both of us have deeper knowledge of the game to the point where it might annoy us more if it deviates.
That's a fair consideration.
But also, like,
that's a fair consideration.
I'm not so tethered to it. I don't know if I would be all that annoyed.
I've got no nostalgia for it.
We'll see.
For additional thoughts, comments, I just said Cleve will either like this or hate this the most out of the three of us.
True.
Yeah.
I don't think you're going to be in the middle. You're either going to like it the most or you're going to hate it the most.
I said some fun practicals, incoherent plot, terrible acting.
Yeah.
I said this is going to totally miss the point of Silent Hill 2, and Silent Hill fans will hate it like they do everything else.
Yep.
To be honest, though, the atmosphere should be cool.
Well, that's the last movie for the first half of the year, but Ben did have some bonus questions.
Yeah, these are just kind of some fun bonus points to maybe
Turn the tide at
the end of the season. So
I like that.
Of the movies predicted, which will do it the best at the box office?
Godzilla and Kong.
I said Quiet Place Day 1.
I also said Quiet Place.
Okay. All right.
I think worldwide, especially Godzilla versus Kong.
Oh, but we always do domestic.
Exactly. Of the movies predicted, which will have the highest Rotten Tomatoes rating?
Because the wank handling the undead.
Handling the
undead.
We all get a point for that one.
Bonus point. Of the movies predicted, which will have the highest Pod People rating?
Big Risk, Crazy House.
Wild Card, Night Swim.
I said
really wild card.
Untitled Radio Silence Monster Project.
Okay, so we're all rolling the dice here, boys.
We're all swinging.
This is probably the prediction I'm the most excited about now. I think. Yeah, that'll be fun.
Okay, of the movies predicted, which will have the highest kill count?
Godzilla, probably.
Godzilla. There's no way you didn't say Godzilla. And finally, of the movies predicted, which will not release in the first half of 2024,
Silent Hill.
Silent Hill.
Oh, I was going to say the untitled Radio Silence Monster Project. It's not even titled.
I mean,
yet.
that is a fair guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, there were a couple additional movies that are releasing that got vetoed by the audience. Those include Horoscope, which is
whatever the fuck that
based
is.
on a 90s horror novel about haunted horoscopes.
Awful.
There's Lisa Frankenstein, The Return of Diablo Cody.
Which, oh my god, we saw the trailer for that, I think when we went to see Godzilla -1, and I'm so glad that one got voted down. Holy shit, that looks like one of the most insufferable movies I've ever seen.
No, thank you.
It's directed by Zelda Williams, another Nepo baby daughter.
Oh, Robin Williams' daughter, yeah.
The First Omen, which is an Omen prequel, legacy prequel.
No,
thank you.
More like the first No Man.
I've never seen The Omen.
The original's
fantastic,
fantastic, yeah.
And then finally, Imaginary, one that we do have a trailer for.
Oh yeah,
Ted, but scary.
Yeah.
Yeah, that doesn't appeal to me. I'm fine skipping out on that one. Mm-hmm. Well, I think in general the first half this one was kind of tricky for me. I feel like this is the least confident I've ever been going into a year of movie predictions. I
feel like the second half of the year has a lot of strong ones that we haven't predicted yet. And there's a lot of strong movies coming out in the first half of this year. Furiosa, Dune Part 2.
Ooh.
But not a lot of, really, crazy horror movies coming
out.
Yeah,
there's a lot of wild cards here, and I made a lot of my predictions based on just gut rather than, any sort of logic, so we'll see. I'm pretty sure I've won the last 3 prediction rounds in a row, so y'all gotta, this is the time for one of y'all to dethrone me. Do you think you can do it?
I hope so.
Do you feel confident?
Take on the king.
All right, well, next week we're wasting no time. The first new movie of the year is already out. It's Night Swim. We talked a little bit about our predictions at the very beginning, and next week we'll get to see how right we were. Is my optimism going to be well-founded, or will Cleveland's pessimism
be well-founded?
take the day? Tune in next week to find out. We're all back in the same room again after the holiday season, so we can do the sponsor and get paid.
There goes the shelf. It's jingling.
The shelf has been so
as
hungry
shelves do,
while
they
y'all
jingle.
have been gone.
Yes. All right. This week was brought to you by a snake. A snake. A snake. With some antiquated ideas on gender. Get that snake out of here. I like a snake, but not that snake. That's like the opposite of the snake that has the apple with the tree of knowledge. That's like the tree of ignorance. Stupid snake.
The tree of ignorance. This episode brought to you by the snake and the tree of ignorance. Don't eat that apple. You'll regress. All right, well, thank you for listening. If you like the show, why don't you ring us in the new year with a 5-star rating and a review wherever you're listening to this, or become a Patreon subscriber at patreon.com/podpeoplepod.
Speak to the boys.
Yeah, speak to us and our delightful little community, and if you join the Patreon, you'll be able to vote on the films we cover for the second half of the year.
Yeah.
And if you become an honorary pod boy, you can even give us other movies that you want us to talk about. Shout out to our honorary pod boys, Sam, Zach, Micah, and Mitchell, and Jans. I did forget to mention one other thing we're going to be changing in the new year that we've talked about is we are going to be doing more Patreon pick episodes.
Yes.
Now that we have some more folks that are giving us movies to watch, we want to make sure all those folks are getting their money's worth. So we're going to be doing more frequent Patreon pick episodes. We have been doing each one of the 3 of us gets a pick, and then we do a Patreon pick. I think for now we're going to do 2 picks, then a Patreon, then 2, then a Patreon. Mm-hmm. So, yeah. Now is the best time to join the Patreon. Better time than ever. You can also, of course, follow us at letterboxd.com/podpeoplepod. where you'll find a list of all the films we've talked about on the show with our average ratings and links to those reviews. My fucking recommendation for this week is Ridley Scott's Gladiator. I just rewatched it for the first time in like 8 years, and I'm fucking hot on it. It's a good fucking movie.
Thumb sideways,
and then the thumb goes up.
Yeah.
If you like a historical drama with a lot of good acting and action, watch Gladiator. It's 23 years old.
I watched this movie when I was back home called Drive. Not
that one.
Not the Nicholas Winding Refn one. But,
not the real human being.
There's one from the 90s, directed by Steve Wang. It's essentially a Hong Kong director came to America and made a buddy cop sort of film in the vein of like a Midnight Run or a Lethal Weapon. So
Hell
it's
yeah.
like that kind of comedy mixed with some of the best action scenes you've ever seen.
Fuck yeah.
Brittany Murphy is in it as one of the horniest women I've ever seen on film.
Good lord.
Damn, rest in peace.
It's really fun. It's on Tubi. It's worth a watch for sure.
Sounds awesome. You got anything, Cleve?
Yeah, I just watched this fantastic movie that came out in, like, I think, was it 2018, 20-something, called The Sisters Brothers. I'm just recommending it to you guys off the podcast, so I figured I'd recommend it on the podcast as well. It stars, of all people, Joaquin Phoenix and John C. Reilly, as well as Jake Gyllenhaal and Riz Ahmed. And it is fucking great. Rutger Hauer also has a cameo in it as the evil commander. It's fantastic. It's very dry and slow. It's a black comedy. I would really. These are things I love. I know most people don't like dry, slow films. But
I mean, I do. I generally do too, but it's a funny way to recommend a movie. Oh man, you gotta check this shit out. It is so dry and slow. You're gonna love it.
It's like glacial. It's great.
You're gonna
really love it. But I did, and I would recommend it. It's another great Joaquin Phoenix performance as like a crazed, drunk gunfighter alongside his brother John C. Reilly, who's sort of a dopey man who's trying to better himself, and it works quite well. I liked it a lot.
So 2 of the 3 movies we recommend this week star Joaquin Phoenix.
That's right.
His star is ascendant.
It's true. There was a time where I didn't like him, and now I love him.
Yeah,
like,
he's great.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thanks for listening. Happy New Year. We hope you're looking forward to another year of movies with us, because we're looking forward to a new year of movies with you. Goodbye.